Before we get going, we should take a look at this. This is Pierre Poilievre talking about the WEF.
And that is why I've made it clear that my ministers in my government will be banned from participating in the World Economic Forum when I'm in government again. Work for Canada. Work for Canada. If you want to go to Davos to the conference, make it a one-way ticket. But you can't be part of our government and working for a policy agenda that is against the interests of our people.
Hey Rhonda, hey Moo Boo, hey Brent, hey Mad Canadian, hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're staying warm, having something healthy to eat. I've got a couple of questions for you. What do you think about the World Economic Forum? What do you know about it? I don't know that much either, but we've been investigating and we've been looking at some of their propaganda. And before we dig in any deeper, let's see how that group represents themselves. Here's a couple of minutes with the World Economic Forum as they present themselves.
Live from Davos, join us all week for our exclusive interviews.
The meeting of the World Economic Forum is underway at Davos.
Path forward in today's geopolitical and economic
advances in generative AI.
One of the key topics here in Davos this year.
This time is about rebuilding trust.
Geopolitical divides are preventing us from coming together around global solutions for global challenges. People everywhere are losing faith in governments, institutions, and financial and economic systems.
We have seen a dangerous divergence, richer countries doing much better than poor countries. This divergence matters not only to the people impacted, it matters to all of us because it undermines global security.
Poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere.
We cannot think of eradicating poverty without caring about climate, healthcare, food insecurity, and fragility.
We all need to have the ability of dealing with all of these issues at the same time because we don't have a choice.
The hottest year on record was last year. We really are turning our planet into something that's being destroyed by the minute.
Developed world must do more. They are talking a lot, they're acting less.
Los 100,000 millones de dólares de París ya no son nada. La cantidad que se necesita cada año es 30 veces superior.
There is a strong dependence to fossil base that we cannot simply ignore. Then the investments need to be for the future, for green energy.
Only 1 in 8 people actually have 1 or more green skills. We need to figure out a way to re-skill millions of people.
At the speed at which things are going, everybody needs training, the frontline workers as well as the white-collar workers.
While governments hold many of the levers to deal with the great challenges of our time, business have the innovation, the technology, the talents to deliver the solutions we need.
AI has been somewhat demystified because people really use it now. And that's, I think, always the best way to pull the world forward with a new technology.
We've never had a broad general-purpose technology that diffused to all corners of the globe and created abundance equally. We have a shot at it.
It has lots of dark sides to it as well. We have over 70 major elections that are happening this year, and all of those can go the way the voters want, or AI can change that.
The power of AI must be managed. Once you build that solid foundation, you want to use it to reach for the stars.
AI could not have developed to the state that it has without collaboration.
过去几十年，经济全球化取得了巨大的进展，很大程度上还是得益于各国之间的相互信任。
We need to think of globalization differently, and we need to make sure that those who did not benefit during the first round benefit this time.
We need a new model for growth that is proactive, not reactive, that is about pre-distribution, not redistribution.
We have to rebuild trust, and most importantly, trust in each other.
It's important for us as leaders to create a culture where people feel like they belong, where they can bring their whole self.
Companies and economies are in a worse financial situation when they're not inclusive. The math has been done a million times.
Too often, young girls are withheld basic access to education and advancement that could spark a brighter future for all of us.
What are we leaving our children for the future? Are they going to inherit prosperity, or are they going to inherit conflicts?
That type of intergenerational responsibility is what has been lacking in the way that the world is being run, and we want to bring that spirit back.
The secret sauce is leadership. We're not in the audience, we're in the field. Sometimes we fail, but that's the only way we will resolve this.
That's a very high quality production they're making. There's a lot of money behind like making a production like we just watched, but it doesn't make me trust them anymore. Having these people saying all these things, I believe they're dividing and distracting us, like on a global level. I'm not sure. I don't know all about it. I'm learning though. We did this story back ways. We're gonna take a second peek. A little nervous about showing this because I think it might have hurt my channel trying to produce this before or put this out there, but I think Canadians need to know that we have a lot of our politicians that are heavily involved in the WEF. These are some of those. Hey guys, what's up? Aaron here, Question Period Canada. We've got an exciting episode for you today. We're going to be focusing on the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and some of the members of parliament that are members of this organization. We'll first do a little check into what the WEF is, and then we'll get into the politicians. Let's check it out. The World Economic Forum is an international, non-governmental and lobbying organization for multinational companies based in Colony, Canton of Geneva, Switzerland. It was founded on January 24, 1971 by German engineer Klaus Schwab. The foundation, which is mostly funded by its 1,000 member companies, typically global enterprises with more than $5 billion in turnover, as well as public subsidies, views its own mission as improving the state of the world by engaging business, political, academic, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. So that's just the tip of the iceberg with the WEF. It's worth looking into. That sounds nice there when you put the history together, but I think they're up to something else. That's not for me to say in this video. That's for another video. Right now, we're going to take a look at our MPs that are members of this organization. Do you recognize this jackass? Consider me once bitten, twice shy. This is Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada and a member of the WEF. Do you recognize the Wicked Witch of the West? No, no, no. This is CHRYSTIA Freeland, our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. She's also on the Forum's Board of Trustees. She's a real Sour Patch Kid. And who's this clown looking ponsive? He's not thinking, he's trying to figure out how to chew his gum. That's a dancing fool, Sean Lawless. He's the Minister of Housing for Canada, and he's a dancing fool. He just can't stand still, guys. And this is Gollum. Just kidding, this is Francois-Philippe Champagne. He's the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. He is also a member of the World Economic Forum. He goes pretty crazy on the parliamentary floor sometimes. Oh no, it's boring time. It's Karina Gould. She's the most boring clown on the floor. She's currently the leader of the government in the House of Commons. She's terrible, guys. She's such a slow talker and boring. And what have we here? A pretty young woman? Oh my goodness, this is Melanie Joly, another member of the WEF. She is also the Minister of Foreign Affairs for Canada. She does seem really great until she opens her mouth. And now this specimen is fresh off the stool after getting a bowl haircut from her mom. This is Jeanette Petitpas-Taylor. She is also a member of the WEF. She's currently the Minister of Official Languages for Canada. Yup. Alright everybody, we're going to wrap it up for now. There are so many more Liberal MPs that are part of the World Economic Forum. We'll be covering that and getting deeper into what the World Economic Forum really is. It's interesting and scary. So tune in for those. So besides Trudeau being involved with WEF, there are many other politicians. Probably CHRYSTIA Freeland is the one that we hear the most about. She sits in a pretty high position with the WEF. Let's look at how CHRYSTIA Freeland speaks to the world when she's on this platform, this stage of the WEF. WTF.
What is Canada's contribution to this? And I also add those three questions, but you probably remember also CHRYSTIA, she was given the task when Mr. Trump was president and there was a new trade policies and also the renegotiations of NAFTA, and you maneuvered that through. And I guess that's a competence that is also possibly useful in the years to come. Over to you, CHRYSTIA.
Well, thank you very much, Borge, and thank you for the friendship between Canada and Norway. I know you're not here in that capacity, but it's a very important partnership for us. Look, Borge, you know Canada well, and Canada is an open economy. We are a trading nation. We're very proud to be able to say we are the only G7 country that has a comprehensive trade deal with every other G7 country, with Valdis, with Brian, I see Taro Kono of Japan. If we had a Brit here, with the Brits too. And we work hard to have strong trading relationships. We believe in them. It is also the case, as Ngozi and Khaldun have said, the environment in 2024 is very different than it was in 2015 when I became trade minister. And it is clear, I very much agree with how Khaldun framed it. There are sort of two dominant economic trends that have a bearing on trade and investment right now. One is a focus on supply chain resilience, and that is just a reality. After the shock that we all experienced during COVID with things shut down, our people are just going to demand a little more security in their supply chains. And then that was multiplied, as Khaldun said, by Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. And, you know, Valdis can speak much more, with much greater experience than I can. But we all saw in particular how that really delivered a huge shock to Europe, the dependency that they had. So supply chain resilience, it's a reality. And we're all thinking about it in how we build our own trade relationships and also how we as Canada make a pitch to foreign investors. The other thing that's going on, and again, Khaldun talked about this is a hugely transformative moment in the whole global economy. I think that right now we're living through a moment which is comparable only to the Industrial Revolution itself, in terms of the energy transition and the way we need to retool all of our manufacturing. That is huge. Canada's strategy, Borge, is to say, look at these two trends and let's see how we can use them to play to Canada's strengths. And our view is there's a lot that Canada can offer to the world in this moment. You know, we have the critical minerals and metals that you need to build a green economy. We have a lot of clean energy. 85% of our grid is already clean, and we are investing heavily in building more clean energy. We are a country that believes in manufacturing, has manufacturing know-how and capacity. And then you guys spoke about industrial policy. You know, the thing that is new about industrial policy is we are developing our economies, growing our economies at a time when we also need to accomplish the green transition. And I spoke yesterday to a very significant international business leader who is also a big investor in Canada. And he said to me, all the countries in the world need to be very careful that decarbonization does not mean deindustrialization. I thought that was an extremely smart comment, and Canada is absolutely determined that decarbonization for us will mean more jobs, more growth, more manufacturing, and we recognize government needs to play a role to make that happen. So we've set up a $15 billion government fund run by professional investors from a Canadian pension fund. And I hope you know Canadian pension funds, they're geniuses, the best in the world. So we don't have my department manage the money. Sorry, you guys are very good too.
And the Norwegians are involved.
Norwegians also
not
good.
bad
We're
either,
good.
huh?
No, but like, come on, the Canadian pension funds, they're great. My point is, we don't have government bureaucrats invest these $15 billion. We have professional investors do it, but their job is to fill that gap between to de-risk for private capital. And that $15 billion is being invested alongside private capital to make projects work. And then we have put in place a system of investment tax credits really to be comparable to the IRA. And we now have a suite of policies for the industrial transformation worth about $120 billion.
That'd be
so
great.
Come invest in Canada. We believe that we have to hustle. We think this is a moment that, you know, the cement is being poured for the new economy. And we really believe in being out there, talking to investors in the world and saying there's a lot of natural advantages Canada has, and we're going to help those advantages along with government policy. And then just to conclude, Borge, what I'll say, I liked your introduction. I liked the way you said it's really important that trade policies work for people. And that would be sort of my final comment, speaking for Canada. But really, I think this applies to the whole world. As we build our economic policies, whether they are trade policies or investment attraction policies or industrial policies, at the end of the day, the question we have to ask ourselves is, will this make the life of the people I represent better? Will it create great jobs that people can build a life on and have hope and optimism for the future with?
I'm not a fan when somebody treats a group of people a certain way in front of a certain group, but then that same group of people is treated completely different when it's in front of another group. CHRYSTIA Freeland here is speaking to the Globe, and she seems to be pretty articulate. But when she's in Parliament, she talks down to Canadians, she talks down to the opposition. She is a bitch. Like, here it is.
Mr. Speaker, last week, the Conservatives voted against Operation Unifier, which is about direct military support for Ukraine. They've also voted against our free trade agreement with Ukraine. When we look at the extreme right south of the border parroting Putin's lines, we used to think that could never happen in Canada. But it is happening here, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we are proud to say, Slava Ukraini.
What, is that witch talking in tongues now? We've got 2 languages here in Canada already, lady. We don't need any more Ukrainian, Russian, whatever that was. And you pull stunts like this, Canadians won't forget that you set this poor reporter up to be assaulted and then arrested for assault. You did this by a member of the York Police Department. And then he's very unpleasantly arrested. And this situation, let's just look at the video.
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault. You're under arrest for assault.
Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me. So excuse me.
You're under arrest.
I find that video really hard to watch. David Menzies, he was set up. Everybody knows it. When you see that video, you know that CHRYSTIA Freeland is an evil witch. And now she's a big contributing member to the WEF, WTF, I don't know. We're going to wrap this one up. I'm Aaron. This is Question Period Canada. I hope you know a little bit more about the WEF now than you did before we started watching this video. There is something up, guys. It doesn't smell right. Something feels strange about the whole damn thing. Chrystia Freeland is a witch. And there are so many things going on. How can our nation be falling apart as quickly as it has been if our leadership isn't on board with it falling apart? What is up with that? I'm Aaron. This is Question Period Canada. We're having a good time learning about Canadian politics, sharing that with you. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you next video. Remember to have something healthy to eat and try to stay warm. Catch you next video.